Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for inviting me. And in the spirit of the discussions I had when I was asked to come today, I was talking with both the majority and the minority staff. And listening to some of the discussions going back and forth here this morning, what I'd like to offer as a suggestion is that the ideas that have been proposed on both sides of the aisle are not mutually exclusive. In fact, the National Petroleum Council did a report about a year ago, came to the same conclusion, saying that we are having supply problems, but we're not running out of resources. And to mitigate the risks on the supply side, we need to expand just about everything that we can do. All economic energy sources are going to be required to solve the problems that we're having. Coal, nuclear, renewables, unconventional oil and gas, getting acreage opened up or worrying about the low proportion of acreage that's being drilled on doesn't seem to me to be the heart of the issue. The heart of the issue is what is the resource that's on those acres and where are the resources and can you get at those resources? If the oil is in Alaska or offshore, then those are the acres that need to be opened up, not the other ones. The other thing that the National Petroleum Council said was that we really do need to look at demand management on the energy side. Policies designed to moderate growing demand for energy and increasing efficiency in transportation, residential, commercial, industrial uses should really be encouraged. So I applaud the ideas that have come out here, and I think we should move on all of these, not just some of them. There's no silver bullet to solving the problems that we have in the energy area. We've got to do it all, and we needed to do it yesterday. So the sooner we get on with it, the happier I believe the American consumers and voters are going to be. I tried to answer the questions that were submitted to me by the staff, and they're in my testimony, and they'll be in the record. But rather than to go into all of that, what I'd like to offer is another suggestion about what has changed. Everybody is looking at the price of oil and saying, well, nothing has changed in the last year. Why is the price of oil up so much? There must be some underlying conspiracy or problem. And let me offer two things that have changed very dramatically in the last year and that I think have given us the situation that we're in. First, the U.S. economy has slowed down, but it has not spilled over into the rest of the world, where energy demand and especially oil demand are still growing very strongly. And in fact, if you look at the projections, we may be on an overall global basis be at 110 million barrels a day of demand by the year 2030, some 95, 96, or 97 million barrels a day by 2015. The second thing that's changed is that there's an accumulating amount of evidence suggesting that we may actually run into a problem of being able to deliver more than 95 or 100 million barrels a day of oil, not because of a resource issue, but because of access issues, getting access to the places that have the oil. If we can't do that, then there is going to be a problem because demand is going to be a lot higher than supply. That situation or potential situation, I think, is what's informing the markets that are lifting prices to try to find some way to rebalance in everybody's models for where the future of the oil market lies, to rebalance those models, and it's probably going to require a higher price. Well, since we're looking for, what are these reasons, let me just mention some of them. Underlying drivers for prices, in my view, are very diverse and involve a lot of fundamental supply and demand issues. One, OPEC production and capacity issues. Two, demand in China and the Middle East, where consumption is subsidized and economic growth has been fast. Three, the normal lags in capital spending in the oil industry and the erosion of that spending by cost inflation. Four, central bank policies, very low interest rates fostering high economic growth, cheap money, and a very weak dollar. Five, geopolitical issues, as I mentioned, in places like Russia, Venezuela, Iran, Iraq, Nigeria, and elsewhere that are keeping supplies off the market. Mr. Chairman, we haven't had a huge energy crisis appear, but a series of mini crises. It's sort of we're having the afterquakes without having the big one ahead of time. Sixth, political decisions themselves. Corn ethanol is a good example of unintended consequences, and the ability to get other legislation passed on both conservation, efficiency, and supply is an issue. And finally, Mr. Chairman, since I think I'm probably going to be asked about this, I've excluded speculation in the sense of rising funds flow into the futures markets from index funds and hedge funds as a reason for the price increase. Volumes in futures really don't matter as much as sentiment. The sentiment is that supply isn't growing fast enough to meet demand, and that's causing prices to rise. If we can do things in the United States with the help of our elected representatives to get demand to slow down and to get the supply of all of our energy sources to begin to rise, I'm not allowed to give guarantees as a financial analyst, but as close as I can come to giving a guarantee, I believe that you'll see oil prices going back down if we can get supplies growing and demand slowing down. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.